Welcome to White Rock Reporter Radio. I'm Johan Sandstrom. Welcome to have all of you on board. It's we reached a milestone here. We got up this new station up to a little over 1,000 visitors. That's fantastic. And today we are going to meet with Mr. James Martell, the founder of the Internet Marketing School. James, are you on board?
Johan, yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to have you on board. That's big news, and maybe you can briefly introduce this. You are from White Rock, South Surrey, Vancouver. You are all over the world, but in this case, you are doing this product. Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, well, we do live down in the South Surrey area. We're just up above Crescent Beach, just below White Rock Elementary, where all of our kids went, and now they're just the last one of four is just finishing up at Elgin this year. So yeah, definitely been around here for a while.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I've been in the online world for over a decade now, something around 13 years, and I've been teaching and training small business owners how to develop profitable online web presences, whether it be for a brick and mortar business. And for most of my decade or so, has been in the affiliate marketing space, where we teach people how to work with Amazon and various companies who pay a commission in return for referrals. But most recently, in the last few years, we've been also developing trainings for small business owners, and a couple of years ago I had the idea to put together and formalize what I call the School of Internet Marketing, and it's not quite open yet, but we're getting real close. We plan to open the doors to the school. It's an online school. Everything's taught online, as so many things are these days, and we plan to open the doors early January 2013.
There are some very good benefits in the fact that you open and work online with education, etc. And that is obviously you sit at home and you are in control of whatever you are doing.
It is, and you can be at home, can be anywhere. At home, we have students that have taken our courses from literally in our other trainings all over the world. We will have a class online where we'll have 60, 80, 100, 120 people in attendance, and they'll be from 15 or 20 different countries at any one time. So it's a very multicultural group, and it's always diverse and dynamic. And the beautiful thing about the internet is you don't have to fly all the way into White Rock area or into the Vancouver area, so they save the cost on airfare and accommodation and time away from their work or their business. So it's just really a great way to go.
The world is shrinking quite a bit. I had a conversation here yesterday, actually, with the manager for the Blaine in Washington State in the USA, the manager of the business of commercial, and she tells me that they are impressed by the fact we have an international airport just about 40 minutes away from here that is easier and faster to access than our own Vancouver airport.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
We fly, my wife Irene and I, we fly out of Bellingham probably 2 out of every 3 times, just because it's very convenient. As long as we don't have a long border delay, and it's just it's easier to deal with parking. You literally just, the parking is right there. You pay for your 2 or 3, 4, 5, 7 days, whatever you're going to be away, and then you don't have to deal with a huge terminal. It's kind of like flying at Abbotsford. Very simple. You basically pull up, check in my case of Bellingham, go through security, and then on the plane, and off you go.
That is very, it was fun to hear this lady, Carol Solomon, the manager for the Chamber of Commerce in Blaine. And Blaine is about maximum about 15,000 people, and maybe about 2,000 in the very center of it. Otherwise, it's a luscious green whatever, and it's a nice community. And they are very proud of the fact that what they are not so proud about, let me tell you that is actually the worrisome developments regarding coal terminals and things are moving around, and here we are sitting in White Rock, South Surrey, and things are moving without us knowing, and that seems to be a give and take type of a thing, because I asked, for instance, Carol, I asked her about, have you in Blaine heard anything about what's going on in White Rock or Surrey? And she said, well, we used to have a contact with White Rock quite frequently, she says, and it's a beautiful place, and I agreed, of course. And but for some funny reason, she volunteered the information that maybe this is because there is a new council, there is a new people on the seat, so to speak, and maybe that is the reason. Otherwise, she looked back to many, many years of intensive communication with White Rock because it is so close by, and frankly, it could be a little of a gateway for tourism coming into White Rock.
Well, I would imagine because of the new mayor that, and I'm on the Surrey side, so I'm not really into the White Rock politics of it all, but I would imagine anytime there's a change of administration, that would probably take both parties the good time to reach out. And if I was in Blaine, I would be calling up, congratulating the new mayor, and making sure that you reach out. So
I think that's exactly.
Love to hear from her.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on. Well, to conclude the portion that deals with this internet marketing school that you are starting, and will that be a premiere? Will it be a takeoff in Christmas, or will it be a little bit into January maybe?
Well, the team is busily uploading all the tutorials and the training videos, and there's over 80 interviews with other business owners and other successful primarily small business owners who've really, done a great job of transitioning from the old style of advertising, more of the yellow pages and the local newspaper, to the online world. So I've had a chance to interview chiropractors and small business owners of all types on that particular topic. So it's chock full of those types of inspiring interviews and very educational interviews. And then there's loaded up with courses from people who are in the field, who work this business and work, whether it be Facebook or Google Traffic or Twitter, however it is. We've pulled together a faculty that is outstanding. And we're not going to be open during Christmas or before Christmas or even up until New Year's. But if all goes as planned, we'll be opening the doors early January. So if listeners would like to receive a notice to that, just head over to theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's theschoolofinternetmarketing.com, and if you drop in your first name and your email address, you'll get an interview with one of those chiropractors that I was mentioning, who shared in detail how she made the transition.
Yeah, I wonder if you can do me the favor of putting that link on your Skype. You are very impressed by Skype, and millions and thousands or whatever are, because Skype has turned out to be a very versatile tool.
Skype is a very versatile tool, I agree, and literally hundreds of millions of people are using it. And if anybody who's listening isn't using it, you may want to check it out, because it can save you a small fortune on long-distance charges as well, and it's relatively easy to use, and if you've got a high-speed connection, you can be chatting live with anybody in the world, and it's crystal clear. It's amazing. You can be talking with somebody in Perth, Australia, and they'll sound like they're next door.
Yeah, it's exactly...
and it's free.
I like that. It's FREE. That's fantastic, and I think that we should go on here. When we come in, do you feel that have we concluded that portion about which I consider important business information on this episode?
I'm fine. Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking that we could go on and mention about the other few things. Would you like to say something about parking? I have a few things I like to say about parking. Parking in White Rock, and that's a beautiful concept. Has been ongoing for many, many years now, and the exciting is that that, for instance, the waterfront parking has been made very easy. They say from November, for instance, started the 1st of November to April 30th, it will cost less than $1.50 per hour to park on the seaside, the waterfront Marine Drive, parking between 10 a.m. to midnight. And you can also extend your parking period, so to speak, by lifting your cell phone and extend the durational period that you want to park. Now, if you want to if you want to come here frequently, and many people really like to come here many times during the period of off season or in the season and so on, so you can consider possibly purchasing a so-called new waterfront or seaside off-season parking decal. This decal for 4 hours is maximum parking, and at the waterfront and the seaside from November 1st to April 30th, and it will cost you $175 plus tax, and that's what it will cost. And that is probably something that people should know about and take into consideration when they want to economize coming down here and using the parking. I think that would be great, because they obviously pay a little less if they do a lump sum investment of that particular grant permit, so to speak, I call it. So that's what they are asking in White Rock. They want people to come here, and they want to visit with there's a number of merchants. Nothing is closed down. The important places are open, I used to say. So calm down. Anyhow, so enough for that. Now, the access, the availability of parking places probably could be the big deal, the big challenge in the season.
Well, parking is in this area, in the White Rock area, to me, honestly, is very interesting. I'm actually looking at, I mean, I don't think anybody minds paying for parking. It's just the kind of the way it is. We'd all prefer that we didn't have to pay for parking, but my personal feeling on it, when it hurts business, then it should be looked at. And also the costs that are being charged. I'm looking at right now online at the top 10 most expensive cities in the world for parking.
Right.
Number 10 at Copenhagen will cost you around $17 per day. Well, if you have to park down on the beach in White Rock at $3 per hour for an 8-hour day, that's $24.
Right.
New York City, which I frequent often, does range up to around $40 a day, depending where you are. So that's very pricey. You get up to other areas where you get into Sydney, and they give you monthly rates because, of course, people are heading in there. So we're right in with some of the top 10 most expensive cities in the world. And I personally think, I'm very pro-business, so I mean, I should probably throw that out there. And I do know when we moved from Abbotsford back in 2001, into the South Surrey area, best move we ever made. Loved the area, loved the greenery, loved the fresh air, loved the ocean, loved the people. We couldn't believe how friendly it was, even compared to Abbotsford when we moved out here. It's a breath of fresh air when we got into this area. Abbotsford has a pollution problem with the air. It'll be 28 degrees and beautiful in the White Rock South Surrey area with beautiful ocean breeze. And in Abbotsford, it'll be 35, stale, stagnant, and polluted. So we used to drive up 16th Avenue. You could just see this blue bubble over the ocean. One day we just decided, why are we not living here? And we were literally, 2 months later, we were having fish and chips at Moby Dick's, celebrating our move into the area. So,
I mean, you're not allowed to talk about Moby Dicks and fish and chips and good stuff like that on this program because I get hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. That's a landmark on the East Beach Marine Drive, Moby Dick. They have some lovely things there. And there are other places that have popped up over time, but I can recall it was already there when I came in 1988. It's really...
to me, Moby Dick's is they say they have the best fish and chips in the world, and I could not prove them otherwise. And then where we've had fish and chips never compares to Moby Dick's. We were just in there the other night. It's always amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we have some very, very many attractive places, and what I say, basically the limit for frequency here of visitors into these, eateries, restaurants, pizza places, and what have you, and trinkets and whatever they sell along the Marine Drive, for instance, is basically the access, or the lack of access to additional places to park your vehicle.
Well, and that's, to me, therein lies the crux of the whole matter.
Right.
And when we first moved here back in 2001, they had the old style parking meters where you put in a quarter and you paid $1 and you paid to park and you were fine for lunch. And because we work from our home, anytime we're doing a meeting with a client or a potential business partner, we would say, hey, well, let's meet down on the beach in White Rock. And we would go in, and this would happen 3-4 times a month, at least, where we'd be meeting them down on the beach, and we'd have a nice lunch, and then we'd say goodbye, and off we go. Love it. Talking to somebody who's living in this area, where do you want to go? Well, let's see, on the beach in White Rock. Everybody loves to go to the beach. But the problem was, or is, we stopped doing that probably 5 or 6 years ago, because every time we go down to the beach now, for lunch, it's $3 per hour per car, and there's 2 of us, and we're usually more than an hour. So now you're into $4 or $5 an hour for each person, and then that's just not polite to bring somebody into town for lunch and have them pay $5 for parking in an area that really shouldn't have much in the way of parking. I mean, it'll pay $1, sure. If you've got issues with the railroad, well, work it out. But personally, if I was a small business owner down on that beach, I would have the war drums going. This would be happening.
James Martell, it's wonderful to listen to you, and we are going to continue. However, they are knocking on the glass door here for the control room. They want me to push on a little commercial. Okay with you?
Fine with me.
We are talking, we have a conversation with James Martell, Internet Marketing School in South Surrey, White Rock, Ocean Park, you name it. There you are, James.
So back onto the parking and the idea of pro business. To me, soon as you start pushing people away, and they pushed us away. We're talking 3-4 lunches a month, 1 a week at least, and all of a sudden we're no longer, frequenting those restaurants. We just don't do it. There's lots of other restaurants in the area. There's restaurants uptown. There's restaurants in Crescent Beach, and there's no parking in Crescent Beach you have to pay for. So you have the poor restaurant owners losing that very valuable. I'm just talking about me and one other. I know this has happened to so many other people that I talk with. They just don't go down there anymore. I do know many times we'll be uptown thinking about where we're going to go for lunch, and anytime the beach comes up, we always poo-poo that idea because of the parking. Because it's just not fair. We don't mind, again, if it was a fair amount of money, I'd be happy to pay it. But because of the sheer dollar amount, you're in there for, and then if you miss the meter by a minute or two, those parking meter guys, and I must say, since they bring the new guys in, it's a little more sane. But the previous bunch, the commissionaires, were like vultures. They were basically waiting in the wings. So if you weren't right on the ball and you missed that parking meter by minutes, you'd have a $35 ticket or whatever it was.
They came like bald eagles out of the sky with a machine and everything else, and if they didn't impound your vehicle, they gave you a ticket. That is quite a thing. Now, you mentioned just going down to the seaside and the waterfront. I think that it is a little puzzling to me that there is no pay parking uptown in this metropolis, this beautiful cottage village, city, community, etc. Not uptown. I see no parking.
I would love to know how they actually pushed that one through, where they actually decided to, take advantage of the beach area. And I do understand the tourists come in, but you also shouldn't be, for lack of a better word, raping your visitors when they come into town just because they've got nowhere else to park. I think, anybody with a little common sense would understand that has a tendency to put a bad taste in someone's mouth. Not to mention paying parking in the on-season from, I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning, till 2 a.m. I mean, it's just complete abuse. And it's no wonder that we see such a the small business owners on the beach have a tough enough time having to deal with the seasonalities of just the nature of the area, but to layer that on top of it with them as well, I can't understand honestly why they're not rioting on the streets down there. It's just such an abuse. And if they were, as you said, you're right, there is no parking meters uptown, and I'm not really pro parking meter, period. But if you're going to have to pull out the necessary evil, so to speak, because they, quote-unquote, need the money, well, then let's at least spread it around a little bit so it's fair. So if there's going to be parking in front of the businesses downtown or down on the beach, they sure should be in front of the businesses uptown. So I just can't even believe how this got pushed through. I guess the other solution is just to dissolve the entire area of White Rock and amalgamate it with Surrey. That would solve the problem, and that would stop this need to fund this little micro city that's kind of out on the coast here, and instead swallow it up with a much larger city, which I think would be a much wiser idea. It would sure solve the parking problem.
Yeah, that is one way, and there are many other problems that could be alleviated. I'm thinking of cost in general could be alleviated to a certain extent, at least be less for taxpayers in White Rock. That was very sensible what you are talking about here now, what we have ventilated. I don't know, is it anything conclusive that we could leave with if in case anyone in the council of White Rock possibly have been listening, who knows? That can happen, and the question is now, is that anything that you would like to put on, so to speak, as in, finish off with?
Well, I just think some common sense needs to prevail. Back to, let's spread it around a little bit if we must in the White Rock area. And I do say we, because I do use the beach, and I do understand White Rock is its own city. But like Maui, I love Maui. Maui, there's no restrictions on beaches. You can walk out on, there's no private beaches, there's no private areas at all. And there's no parking meters for that matter in the beautiful, no wonder they call it paradise. There's no parking meters. So just because you happen to be fronting this beautiful little beach area doesn't mean that they should be allowed to abuse those who want to visit it. So I would suggest maybe having a full rethink of this. And I'm not, of course, we're not targeting this at the council because they're never going to vote themselves out of a job. White Rock, their mandate is to take care of White Rock, and so they should. But I think the citizens should have a serious look at, the possibility of, because this isn't the only issue. There's a lot of issues, and there's a lot of added costs to running and managing the city. So I think it just needs to have a good look, at it, with an open mind.
Well, I realize that many employees of the city of White Rock would feel anxious about the fact that they will be amalgamated and sort of eaten up by big, Surrey. But I don't think that's not really a big issue. When it comes to practicality, they still need people around here, and to do this and do that. Now, what I'm more concerned about could possibly be how will it be taken by the public? I understand that with a stroke of a pen, this amalgamation White Rock could be brought into Ward 7, as it was called before I arrived there. I actually saw White Rock 1957, so now I have dated myself. Now you know how young and beautiful I am. Now the point is, I can't help saying I was here 57. I'm proud of having been here. I've seen a little of the history, but I left after approximately 6 hours, went back to Seattle, and did my life to a good extent, and came back here 50 years old, and whatever, quite some years, 1988. So there we are, and wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah. Well, and I might add that Arlene was actually born in White Rock Hospital, and her grandparents actually owned the Semiamu cabins down on Marine Drive back in the 40s, and Arlene's got some beautiful photographs of the cabins on the original, looking Marine Drive down in White Rock. and they're actually in the back of the book, the beautiful table, coffee table book you can buy at the museum. You'll actually see, their cabins right down on the bay. So we've been around a while. You got to speed a little bit, but White Rock is White Rock. When we moved here, I actually thought this whole peninsula was White Rock. I didn't realize that there was this little 16th Avenue division where things, started. And I didn't realize how aggressive some people in the White Rock area are about protecting White Rock. But ultimately, in the same way I look at Maui, where all the beaches are available to everybody, it doesn't matter how much your $10 million house is sitting on that beach, it's still open to the public. And I think that parking down on the beach prohibits people. I think it should be reduced in cost by at least half. I think the hours should be put back into something that resembles, normality, maybe from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening. And then after that, let the people come back. If we want the small businesses to flourish in the White Rock area, you got to start bringing the people back in. And one of the quickest ways to do it would be to get rid of that parking, at least as much of it as possible.
Yeah, the parking costs, you mean? Yeah. Well, of course.
The reason they don't want to put it uptown is it's going to hinder business. So if they're going to not want to hinder business uptown, why do they want to hinder business down on the beach?
Well, I have a little title to this program that I took the liberty of putting up here, and I'm so glad you could participate, and that is White Rock, Fight Rock, like they wrote in the paper of the Suriname paper one time, and then I said, and parking space. I think that's the crux of the whole thing, that if we could only facilitate more space, quite frankly, like you started by saying this interview to talk about this, you mentioned cost may not be the prime reason. I think it is for merchants important to get more space for people to park, because we have the valet service that worked pretty well for a while. Now I understand that's not going to be around next season. I don't know yet. Who knows? The point anyhow is that we need parkade, or we need at least, you can imagine what the difference it would be if we all of a sudden had a parkade for about 800 cars. That's totally doable. There is land for it.
That would probably definitely be doable. I actually have to wonder if people really do want more people in this area. I think that's probably the underlying issue here, is a lot of people in the White Rock area just do not want more people in this area. They want the money, they need the revenues, but they don't want the people. And I hope one day this little area actually, becomes more of a little bit more of an attractive, maybe South Beach, Miami type atmosphere, where it's beautiful and it's friendly and it's, pro-business and it's live in the evenings. I mean, there's a lot of times I see parking meter guys out late at night giving tickets to cars that are alone by themselves, or there's only a handful of cars in the parking lot, and it's just, come on.
Yeah, we are going to think about this, and we probably bring it up some other time. Right now we are going to finish this beautiful program and our kind conversation here about issues that are concerning the White Rock and many other things. So we are listening to Gary Carpenter and the Tribal Heat, Las Sirenas. And I thank you, James Martell, for being on board. It was a pleasure.
Johan, thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's 30 minutes, right on. I'm Johan Sandstrom, White Rock Reporter Radio. It has been an absolute pleasure to host you here, and I say goodbye for this time, over and out. Take care of yourself. Have a great weekend.